Good morning, good evening, whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever you might be doing. We wish to welcome you to the Silverlight Show. The Silverlight shines to illuminate that which lies hidden in darkness. For those of you tuning in today, we welcome you in. I'm going to record a lot more of these thoughts from the blue because while I do enjoy reading the Bible and interpreting it, there's so much happening that needs to be addressed. Take a look at the background. I usually have a few sites that I choose to look at, and a few backgrounds. I do try to be creative, but I'm purposely showing the winter. And why? Because I honestly think we're in an economic winter. I don't think we're right at the point of economic collapse yet. But hear me out. When you start looking at the factors that I'm talking about, you might come to agree with me. First of all, let's look at real estate space. Wow, that's drying up fast. Where you would once have a couple anchor tenants in a mall and everybody else was profit, now you're struggling to find anchor tenants. An anchor tenant is like one of the big stores, like a Sears in former age, or a Walmart or somebody like that, who's going to be there. They're going to pay a lot of money for one of the big spaces, and yeah, that's one of your anchors. And all those little shops, those little jewelry shops and toy shops, specialty shops, body shop, whatever it is, that's just money on top. That helps you pay for all the other expenses. But those other shops are rapidly becoming extinct. They're going online because why pay retail space when you could just pay the post office to take the darn stuff? It's almost the exact same from an owner's perspective when it comes down to the bottom line. And unfortunately, it's all about the bottom line. The second factor that I'm going to look into is the intense brain drain that we are experiencing. Now, let me qualify by what I mean by brain drain. The brain drain originally referred to in the 80s and 90s, where companies from the United States or Japan would go out and headhunt in, say, Britain or France, where wages were not quite as high, and wow engineers and talent and stuff like that with huge salary and bonus packages. So then they would move to the United States, to Japan, wherever it was that was headhunting, and the British and the French and the Germans would say, hey, look, these are our smartest and brightest people going away. The same thing is happening in the 2010s and 2020s. Except it's a willful brain drain. I've already talked at length about how this happens to immigrants. They come over looking for a better life. They were doctors, lawyers, engineers in their hometowns, and they come here and wind up driving a taxi, driving for Uber, delivering newspapers. It's a waste of talent. Because we make them take courses to refresh themselves, which is good. I have no problem. Make sure they're up to date. Make sure, because there are differences in education depending on where you go. Even to going to different high schools will change the amount of the level of education that you get. There's a more significant brain drain that I've kind of just come across, and this one will shock you. It's the military brain drain. Now, before you start making jokes about military intelligence, and we all have them in our minds, I'm talking about what happens to people who go into the military. They're trained in a skill set that is very useful. When they come out, they wind up on the Uber Eats, the taxi driver train as well. I know a lot of examples, but I'm going to use two in particular. One, I know a lovely lady. I've known her since high school. She went into the military, as did I, and she stuck it out. And she became an aircraft mechanic. She was repairing aircraft and keeping the fighters in the air all the time that she was in the military. She came out. What kind of job do you think she's doing now? She's a security guard. Now, there's nothing wrong with being a security guard. When I came out of the military, I started off being a security guard too. But I was an infantryman. I'm trained to shoot and kill. That's not a very translatable skill. And I will openly admit that. I managed to translate other skills to get into my eventual career. But for my friend, you would think, hey, this person knows how to maintain some of the most advanced fighters in the world. Let's pick her up. But no. Nope. She couldn't find a job in her field and wound up working a security job. Now, in the end, she's happy, but she's irrepressibly happy. She's always had a smile on her face. A lovely woman. But her talent has just been wasted. Perfectly intelligent, perfectly capable. Training her should be a doddle. I mean, cars are specialized to a certain degree, but at the same token, once you understand a Cadillac, you can kind of figure out what's going on in a Honda pretty quickly. And if you get trained on it, it'll take a matter of weeks before you have a fully functioning, working engineer that's capable of working on whatever. I know there's trailer mechanics, there's engine mechanics, there's all sorts of things, but yeah, you can teach the skills. And to get somebody with decades of experience, you can't buy that with money. And these people had a chance to buy it at a beginner's rate for somebody who had an honorable discharge, good service record, everything you name it, and they said, nah. So this person is working as a security guard. Another friend of mine used to maintain the nuclear weapons. Yeah. Now, I have a high enough clearance level to ask some details, but I also have a high enough security level to know not to ask those details. Not because, if I tell you I have to kill you. Anybody who says that, don't listen to them. They are the world's biggest fakers. If anything, the secrets I know, if I tell you I have to kill myself. And I have no intention of doing that. And it's rare anybody really has a secret that important. But this man was working on maintaining nuclear weapons. So, you would think an engineer of that caliber would probably be able to find a job at a nuclear power plant, maybe even, well, any sort of electrical work, electronics work, be it repair, be it all those sub-chains of jobs. And no, that person is driving a truck. Yeah, let's hear it for the truckers. Because some of them apparently know about nuclear weapons. But can you imagine this dual force that we have going on that's forcing us into an economic winter? Retail space is drying up. People are going online more and more, which means a ton of real estate is going to start becoming available with no use. And at the same time, we have engineers and technicians that have training that is beyond incredible, and both are just being left out in the cold. Meh. Who cares about them? They did their duty, they retired. Now, I will admit, some of them don't want to do what they were doing for 20 years. Yeah, I have no problem. I understand that. I was in logistics for 20 years. And you know what? It gets tiring. Same stuff, different day. I only say that to avoid the YouTube algorithm. The trick is, I had the training to be able to transfer my skills, whereas these people are highly specialized and in an area that can be taught literally. Whereas my stuff, I've got to do an analogous training. Their stuff, they can say, okay, this gyroscope, depending on how you pronounce it, is similar to this piece of technology over here, and this is how it calibrates. Oh, I get it, and you go from there. It's a much easier process to retrain an engineer. It's like a mechanic. A Chevrolet mechanic is going to be able to figure out the basics on a Honda. And then from there, it's just becoming familiar with the parts, getting the right tools, and they're just as good as anybody else. So why is this highly trained talent coming from overseas, retiring from the military, winding up delivering pizza? Not that there's anything wrong with delivering pizza. But the military honestly doesn't pay these people nearly enough. Like, You could theoretically retire on the military pension, and I've looked at it, but you're going to be living in a place where you're probably not allowed to pet. It's not going to be in a very nice area of town, and hope you like eating ramen noodles every day for the rest of your life. Yeah, get the picture? That's pretty much it. We need to figure out a way to use the brain power we have in reserve and the real estate that we have being mothballed. This is a huge economic opportunity. And I admit, I've been working on it for a couple of years, and I can't quite figure it out. Not because of lack of brain power, but because, well, I see the opportunity, I just don't see the way to make it all work together. There's smarter people than me, there's richer people than me. Hopefully one of you is out there and listening to this right now. No matter what, this would be our way to get out of the economic winter that we are in. Using the resources that we have, and not just to use them to send water and wood down south across the border. I mean, using the brain power that we have. Look at Humber College. They developed the technology that's used in the arms on the space shuttle on the International Space Station and the upcoming Lunar Space Station. Bombardier. They are using engineers all the time to invent new aircraft. De Havilland, whoever owns it today. Sorry, I haven't done a follow-up since I did that episode. They need engineers to do all this. Canada needs engineers constantly because look at all the fleets of government vehicles that are out there, whatever they might be. And despite the fact we're officially not nuclear, I almost guarantee Canada has a couple stashed away for worst case scenario because pretty much every nation does. You can't let everybody in on the top secrets, but at the same token, certain things are blatantly obvious. No matter what, Canada has enough nuclear expertise that nobody should be going without a job that has any experience. I know civilians who have worked their way into the field, and yeah, like I said, experienced technicians, nah, we're not hiring them. It's a crime. And it's literally killing our economy. The top percent are still going to be happy. They're still going to take their profits. And did you know you're richer than you were 2 years ago? Oh yeah, you've been making money. Not you personally, but I mean according to the GDP. Yeah, that's what they're looking at. They're saying, oh, I'm richer, so therefore everybody's richer. No, it's not that simple. The reality is people are having to do more with less. The malls are having to do more with less tenants, and that means it's harder to make a profit. Military service people are not allowed to use their skills, and so they're settling for a security guard job, which, again, nothing wrong with being a security guard, but it's just a waste of the talent that's available. When a society begins wasting what it has, it begins to lose what it has. And that's why we're looking out into a winter situation today. Walking into Winter Wonderland is a beautiful song, but it's not so beautiful when you've been left out there and had to survive on your own. You're desperate for warmth. We all need warmth, the security of a decent income, a decent job, or just in general, being able to be used to your potential. Because it's a cruel world out there, and people tend to find fulfillment in their jobs. So if you're one of the best athletes and you don't get to make it to the professional ranks, you kind of feel left out. And it's the same for engineers, maintenance workers, construction people, etc. It's the same the world over. I'm going to leave you there with that thought. We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Silverlight Show. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe. Don't forget to buy the merch, which are the books listed in the link below. And we hope you have a fantastic day.